We go back to the summit of the G77 and China being held in Havana. Let's listen to the statements of Mario Lubetkin, Assistant Director General and Regional Representative for Latin America and the Caribbean Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations.
Malnutrition by 2030. At this rhythm, we will not fulfill the goals established for the agenda and the SDGs. 373 million of people were hungry in 2022, and more than 3.1 billion people could not afford a healthy diet. The impacts of the climate crisis, such as droughts and floods, are severely affecting, as you know, the agriculture and food security. Agriculture still suffers 26% of damages and losses brought about by extreme disasters. Our systems are under great pressure to produce more and satisfy the increasing demand for food and minimizing the time and impact of the environment. It is imperative to transform our food systems to make them more efficient, more resilient, more sustainable. This transformation will depend on the implementation of innovative technologies, science and technology. The new strategy of science and innovation of FAO is based on three main pillars: to strengthen science and make decision-making based on evidence, supporting innovation and technology at the regional and international level, and better serve the members and promote for them to strengthen their capacities. These change the rules of the game, but the knowledge in itself does not promote change. Transformative governance and the strengthening of the society are a basis for that success. The induction of new scale technologies and innovation for an efficient development require three key elements: coherent and comprehensive agricultural systems, 2, investments in agricultural planning for development, and 3, participative focus for the exchange of transfer and knowledge. The agricultural systems cover all the cycles of production. They also include a wide range of technologies and innovations, including biotechnology, digital biotechnology, and renewable energies, among others. The advances of biotechnology have very diverse use and can be used for the genetic improvement of plants and animals in order to increase production, improve the health of soils, and for the quick diagnosis of diseases and the development of vaccines. The technologies for gender addition also provide tools for the improvement of plants and animals. Drones also provide great opportunities to provide data and monitor crops and plagues, and also provides governments and farmers with alerts in real time for efficient and informed decision making to improve adaptation and resilience in the face of the threats and crises we have heard of in these days. Different technologies such as agricultural robots and digital technologies for financial improvement will help us face the current developments. We need to carry out efficient transformations in our agricultural systems in the world. One of our goals is to support the acceleration of rural transformations. Our geospace transformation helps us improve in the security of crops, among other areas. The digital future will multiply the advances of artificial intelligence and big data, among other aspects, which will translate into lesser costs and better capacity. But in order to guarantee the inclusion of digitalization, we must provide the proper environments. Science, technology, and innovation can be a powerful engine to end hunger and malnutrition, as well as to boost climate action. We have to take into account that countries have diverse challenges, needs, and capacities. Amongst others, in infrastructure, the levels of education, and technical abilities to take advantages of science, technology, and innovation, especially in rural areas. Efforts must be focused on improving the technological infrastructures, the levels of literacy and ability and access to services, and to reduce the cost of technology, strengthening a regulatory framework to make sure that no one does anything illegal. I would like to invite you to the FAO's forum for the World Food Day. The topic will be science and innovation for climatic action. We will highlight the relevance of science, technology, and innovation for the transformation of the agricultural systems for four improvements: better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. The G77 plus China continues to play a key role in ensuring that the developing countries remain at the avant-garde of the rural governance avant-garde, and to continue supporting those who need it the most. Triangle South-South cooperation and effective alliances with all interested parties continue to be the key to overcome the challenges of development in science, technology, and innovation, have the power to deblock our great collective potential. Thank you.
Mario Becking.
We were just listening to the statements of Mario Lubetkin, Assistant Director General and Regional Representative for Latin America and the Caribbean, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. The official report on the dire current situation of food insecurity experienced in the world. Lubetkin highlighted the importance of technology transfers to help strengthen agricultural systems in the world. And this is all taking part during the second and final day of the summit of the G77 and China, which is taking place, as we have said, here in Havana, the Convention Center. Friday's meeting made significant progress in the construction of a space for reaching agreements on historical demands, such as the need for a new international economic order, the rejection of coercive measures against countries, as well as situations related to the concentration of wealth or the growth of poverty with a state vision. The adoption of a final document focused on the global challenges in science, technology, and innovation will seal Saturday's convention in Havana. Several presidents, including the President of Brazil, Luis Ignacio da Silva, appeared during Saturday's day of speeches here at this important summit being held in Havana. Earlier, Honduras President Xiomara Castro talked about the task given her by the Honduran people and her commitment and dream of building a democratic and socialist continent.
My dream is to help to build the great homeland of Martí, Morazán, and Bolívar, where our continent is a territory of peace, a territory that is just, socialist, and democratic. We cannot even think to have this condition to take any step backwards, and for this we must support CELAC.
The Honduran President Xiomara Castro also thanked all the leaders of Latin American left for their willingness to make integration grow.
Lula da Silva, Manuel Zelaya Rosales, Cristina, Rafael, Evo, Daniel, Nicolás Maduro, and other founders of CELAC for having resisted the systematically neoliberal attack and for maintaining and keeping intact the willingness to make our integration larger. What I have here expressed is undoubtedly, it may undoubtedly sound audacious, but to us, it is essential to build the world, a world in which we all have a place of equality, freedom, and justice.
The President of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, gave a speech on Saturday at the summit of heads of states and government of the Group of 77 and China. Lula affirms that there are two great transformations in progress.
There are two major transformations that are underway. They cannot be shaped by a bunch of rich economies publishing once again the dependency between center and periphery. The first one is the digital revolution. Advances with network computing, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, cutting-edge biotechnology, and the digitization bring new possibilities that some decades ago we could never imagine. But these innovations have threatening collateral effects. The big multinationals of the technology industry have a business model that increases the wealth concentration, does not respect labor laws, and many times they feed the violation of human rights and foster extremism.
For her part, the South African Foreign Minister Grace Naledi Mandisa Pandor sentenced that this was the time for the South and called for the unity of all member countries.
This is the time for the South. Unity will be critical as many so-called partners will strive to divert our attention and break our unity. Let us rise from the Havana summit, determined as never before to change our condition through advantageous use of the value of science, technology, and innovation. Viva G77 plus China, viva!
Niger's Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Sangare Yao Bakari, explained the political situation in his country, criticized the sanctions imposed on Niger, and confirmed that the situation has come now to an end.
We have been under some kind of actions by some armed forces that have been leading our countries to actions of endangerment of our safeguard in our nation and also of disrespect to the lives of our main leaders. These have brought about a misunderstanding in our region. For that reason, some of the sanctions that have been implemented by the Western African Committee have been also considering some threatening position against my country. Since July 30, 2023, those sanctions have been implemented against our country, and also international entities, including the United Nations, have been given place to these actions because the people of nature made the decision to get from this unbalanced situation in the country. For those who are in doubt of the possibility of nature to be emancipated from this relation that was in our country for years, we can confirm here that the situation has get to an end.
The Nigerian Foreign Minister also stressed the importance for his country to work together with its free bordering nation, pledged Niger's determination to develop science, technology, and innovation, and urged to boost South-South cooperation.
The three countries in the borders in that area are key for international situation. These three countries are playing a very relevant role today in the international context with the existence of raw material in those three nations. We are determined to develop a project to support science, technology, and innovation. We would like to invite investors to go to Israel to reinforce South-South cooperation.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. We go once again live to the G77 and China Summit's venue in Havana with our colleague Gladys Quesada, who has the latest on today's Paramount event for the Global South. Hello, Gladys.
Hello, Luis, and yes, the G77 and China Summit is close to an end, and there is just one speaker away from the end of the debate sessions and these remarks that have been taking place in Havana, in Cuba, in the Convention's Palace since yesterday, September 15th, and that will conclude today, September 16th. As part of the latest events in this afternoon, the Director General of the Multilateral Issues and Affairs of International Law of the Foreign Affairs Ministry of Cuba, Rodolfo Benitez, offered the final briefing of the summit, one of the briefings that gave us the overview of the summit and also gave us the characteristics and the main achievements and aftermath of the summit. As he was saying, technically speaking, the summit has not concluded, but there is just one speaker away, so we can have some conclusions and also some results. Also, as he was saying, over 1,300 participants took place in this summit and attended the summit, and also from 116 countries and 12 international organizations, programs, and organisms. That's one of the evidences of the value of Cuba in the international arena, and also the prestige of Cuba to gather and host one event like this. Also, that's one of the main features that says the high level of the summit and the high level of the G77 and the importance that the bloc concedes to the summit and to this gathering. Also, Havana hosted 33 Latin American countries and 45 nations from Africa and 34 from Asia and 3 from Europe. As we see, many of the countries come from the Global South, of course, but that's to say that many of them had a high-level representation, a top-level representation in this summit. Also, this summit is paramount, and the top official of the Cuba's foreign ministry was saying that the group had not a meeting of this kind since the one held 23 years ago here in Havana, the first South Summit, and the second one that was held in Qatar 18 years ago. So this one comes to gather the group once again in a paramount moment and in a time when the Global South needs to research and to come together facing hegemonism and imperialism. Also, the outcome of the summit shows that it's a high-level event and it was paramount, necessary, and it cannot be postponed. That was one of the main remarks in this briefing, that the summit cannot be postponed as it comes in a paramount and a key moment of history and in the landscape of geopolitics. Also, he was stressing that Cuba hosted a gathering and a summit with no expenses, no luxuries, and being austere in all the moments as Cuba faces a hardship economic situation and the sanctions are heavier and heavier on the island. Also, the briefing and the top officials were saying that this was a transparent summit. And it's not just because of the amount of information that the authorities and the main organizers have offered to the press and have offered to the public in general. It's also because all the debates, all the briefings, and all the remarks have been broadcasted in real time. So everyone in the world could see and everyone in the press could see what is going on in the summit and what is being debated in the summit. He was also referring that this kind of transparency regarding high-level events is more and more scarce and is more and more needed also in high-level events. Also, he was saying that over 100 heads of state subscribed to this summit, and he said that the main focus were the global issues regarding development, science, technology, and also the issues that the Global South is facing and how the Global South can find the solutions to put those strategies into motion and to solve these kind of issues and problems. And the main concern is the growth of hunger, poverty, famines, the inflation, and the climate crisis. And that the G77 with this summit has said to the world that it's not going to stand still to wait for the North to take the demise of the South and to take the decisions. The G77 has said to the world, the South exists, the South is here, and the South is going to thrive and is going to fight for its own rights. Also, the summit has been emphatic and has been stressing the need for a new financial system, a new inclusive trade and financial architecture that allows smaller economies to grow and not to be in the shadow or under the threat of the bigger economies and under the threat of the dollar and the bigger financial organisms and bodies in the world. As we know, the Global North uses the dollar, and that's one of the claims of this summit, that the Global North uses the dollar as a weapon, a financial weapon against the South and the minorities. Also, this summit was strong in the claim of the international community against the sanctions and the blockade imposed on Cuba by the US, and the claim that those sanctions must be lifted at any time and with immediate effect, so that Cuba can thrive and other countries under sanctions can grow. And one of the main topics that I think distinguishes this summit from others that maybe can occur is that all the participants, all the attendees took a moment to send their sympathies and their condolences to the people of Morocco and Libya regarding and taking into account the latest tragedies that occurred there with the climate disasters and the climate phenomena that have been ravaging those countries. So those were the main claims and the main characteristics and features of this summit. And it's important that from the 48 previously drafted paragraphs in the declaration, the last one regarding the condolences to Morocco and Libya was the 49th edition, was the last addition to this final draft and this final resolution. Also, this was a strategical summit. The G77 is going to have a high-level meeting in late September, as the ministers of the G77 are going to meet to review and to assess the accords and all the agreements taken in this summit, in this gathering. And this summit serves as a huge platform for two upcoming briefs. One of them, or gatherings, one of them is a United Nations meeting on the next week, on Monday, and that is going to take place on September 18th, precisely in New York, and it's one gathering of the United Nations. And also the South Summit that is going to have place, or going to take place in Kampala, Uganda. Those are the main points of this last briefing, this summarize that we're offering.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you for your very third summary that you were giving, but we have to go back live to the summit as the Marrero is giving a closing statements of the summit that is being held there at the Palace of Convention. We'll be with you in a moment, okay? Let's listen to the statement of Marrero.
The prime ministers of Dominica, Guinea-Bissau, among other colleagues and comrades who accompany us. I sincerely thank you for your attendance and your valuable contributions and the kind words provided to the presidency and your support for the Cuban people. We would like to communicate to you all the firm conviction, steadfast conviction that we all must change this world. Because as our Commander-in-Chief, Fidel Castro, who said in 2003 in the University of Buenos Aires, when he said that a better world is possible. All the countries of the South during the last couple of days have proved, as our Army General Raúl Castro Ruz would have said, that we could, we can, and we always will. But all of the countries of the South are willing, as Ernesto Che Guevara said, to continue fighting always until victory. Thank you very much.
Well, that was the final statements from the Prime Minister of Cuba, delivering after the conclusion of all the representatives that were here at the summit in Havana provided their statements, and in their conclusion, Marrero gave the confirmation that it is necessary to change, that they had the full conviction that it is necessary to change the current world order for the well-being of every people of the world to a better future with more equality, inclusion, and prosperity for all. With this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find this and more news on our website at telesurenglish.net. And you can also follow us on our social medias on Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, X, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.